Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura. And thank you for joining me again on part 2 of how to sew on buttons. Boy, there's a lot to know on buttons. And today we're going to cover sewing them with the machine and the different feet that you can use. And we're going to also finish with just how to quickly hand stitch the bulb buttons on, or the buttons that already have the shafts. Now, there are lots of different feet that you can use. You need to have a foot that the needle will be able to do a zigzag. So any foot that can do a zigzag is a foot that you're able to use. You can even use a quilting foot because it does have a zigzag in there. And this is a really nice one to use because you can see through the whole thing very clearly. As long as your foot is open enough so that the needle can go in and out between those holes, that foot is a good foot. Now, my Baby Lock machine comes with a foot that will do a button, and it is designed for buttons and only for buttons. It has an area inside where you have a space where you can put the button. It also has a little area here where it will give you a sewn-in shaft so that you don't have to put a toothpick or something to raise the shaft. So let me show you how this works. You have a space here, and that is just so that the button will slide in. And it will cover quite a big button. Now when you look at the back, you'll see that there you have a fork. That fork, the holes of that fork must be lined up like that. So when the machine does the zigzag, do you see it's open here? It's not going to hit any of this metal. Now on the top, you want this built-in shaft here. This little lever will push down. So now there's a built-in shaft here so that when the thread goes back and forth, it goes over top of this little plastic piece, so it will give you a built-in shaft. So if you have a foot that is designed to do this, this is really nice to use. If not, you can use any of the other feet. So when you use a regular zigzag foot, there is no built-in shaft, so you are going to have to put something to raise it a little bit, like a toothpick or a heavy sewing needle, so that when the thread sews it, it will not sew it tight. It will leave a space, so you will have a shaft. And let me show you on the machine. The first thing you need to do is set up your machine at a zigzag stitch, one that you're able to change the width. The next thing you need to do is drop the feed dogs. And dropping the feed dogs, it's these little feet here. And the feed dogs want to pull the fabric, and you don't want it to pull the fabric at all. If you cannot drop your feed dogs, you might have a metal plate that you're able to put over top of them. I'm going to do this open toe foot so that you're able to see very clearly on what I'm going to do. Now, if you have a problem with this button sliding all over the place, get a piece of tape and tape it on. Now, don't tape over top of the holes. Just tape the top or the bottom just to hold it on. Because if you tape over top of those holes, well, that tape will be there permanently. So we have the button taped on, and the machine is set up to a zigzag. But what we need to make sure is that the zigzag goes into each hole. So manually, you need to make sure that it's going in each hole without hitting the button. So now that I know that my zig and zag is in the right area, I need to put the spacer so that I can raise and have that shaft that I need. So raise your foot and slide your toothpick inside and place it down again. And test one more time because you do not want your needle breaking. Then you're able to just sew. Lift up your needle. Do not let the machine self-cut, because what it will do is it will cut the bottom threads and the button won't stay on so securely. So then you're able to pull it out. And by having this toothpick in here, do you see how you've made that extra space? So when you take the tape off, you have that extra space in there. So you see how it actually looks like a loose button. Now give yourself a little bit of thread, and you're able to take your bobbin thread and bring it up. Also bring up your top thread. So you see this is the bobbin thread and there's the top thread. Just pull them up. The starting thread and the ending thread. Now I have my threads out. Take one and wrap it around a couple of times. Take this one, wrap it around a couple of times. Then take the two threads and tie a knot. And tie another knot. Now wrapping those threads and tying those threads, the button doesn't seem so loose now. However, it still has that space that you need for the buttonhole. So you can trim these threads off. So here's that special foot that came with my sewing machine, which is a baby lock, and yours might be slightly different. So I've put the button in, and see, it holds it for me, so I don't need to use the tape now. And it also has a built-in shaft, so I don't need to use the toothpick. So I just need to put my foot on. So the foot is on and the buttons are lined up, and I've given myself lots of thread here so that I'm able to tie it. And again, manually, make sure that it goes in so that it doesn't hit the button, because that needle will pop and break. So I like to test it. Now I'm able to sew it. Now I can take it off. Lift up, and this fabric's going to have to pull towards so it can come off that shaft. Hold the button and just slide it out. So you see how you have that extra space in there. And do the same thing. Pull the threads, wrap them, and tie them. Okay, let's sew a button on that has 4 holes. The first thing you need to do is sew the 2 holes closest to you, because the button needs to come off in this direction. So if you were to sew the back 2, you would not be able to push this back in order to pull it forward. So do the 2 holes that are closest to you. Again, slowly test, and then let her go. Lift up your needle. Then you're able to just take this button and just pull it a little bit forward till the next hole. So you're going to take the button off and do the same thing. Take your threads, wrap it around the inside, and tie it off. So here is a button with a shaft that is built in. And you will sew it on the same way. You're going to start with your knot, you're going to come up and down and continue in this circle. And by doing that, that is going to give you that shaft. Start with your knot, come up, go down, and you will continue that. So let's take a close-up of this type. You've anchored your threads. You come through. You're going to go in and come right back out here. And you'll be able to go back down and go back through that same hole. Knot it off. Same way, just take your loops. Once, twice, and you're able to bury your threads and trim it off. There's another button. There's another one. So each one of these buttons has a little shaft on it so that the fabric can fit underneath. Now just keep in mind that the size of the button and the size of the shaft should match the thickness of the fabric. So, button on, he's all set to go. Won't he be surprised? Now, buttons actually have a very fascinating history. It's something we probably never thought about. The earliest button was dated back to about 5,000 years ago, which I kind of thought was very interesting. And originally, buttons were not used as fasteners. They were used as decorations. Right up into the 12th and the 13th century, the more buttons you had on your clothes, the wealthier you were. It wasn't until the middle about the 12th century that even the buttonhole was invented. So there you go. In the 20th century, when plastic became readily available, buttons then became very easy for the average person to get. So there's a lot to a button other than holding up your pants. Thanks for joining me. Feel free to subscribe and come on back and let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.